الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
ونستغفروه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطيع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر أمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Alhamdulillah, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sending peace and blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we want to focus our attention on one particular hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and extract some benefit from it, inshallah ta'ala. It was narrated by Abu Juhayfa radiallahu ta'ala anhu on the authority of his father. He said, Akha Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Baina Salman wa Arbi Dardai. Abu Juhayfa said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he established a bond of brotherhood between Salman al-Farsi and Abu Darda. And I have to unpack that for you. I have to explain it for you. I have to give you the backstory. See, when the Prophet ﷺ first received wahi, revelation, his risala, his mission of prophethood at the age of 40, he spent the first 13 years in Mecca, where for the most part they were oppressed, they didn't have any authority. And then after 13 years, they made hijrah, they made an exodus, they migrated from Mecca to Medina. Those people from Mecca are given the title Muhajirun, those who made hijrah, the immigrants. Those Muslims who are established in Medina, they were given the title Al-Ansar, the helpers. And because the Muslims, the Sahaba who came from Mecca, left all of their property, it's not like nowadays, if you make hijrah from one place to another, you can literally bring your whole house with you. If you got that kind of money, you can take your whole house with you on a plane and go, or on the back of a truck and go. But even in this society, if people are looking for you, the Lord is looking for you, and your face is on TV and on the internet, most wanted, trust me, you're not taking a U-Haul truck. You're going to take whatever you can carry and you're going to run, hide. And this was the case with the majority of the Sahaba, with probably the only exception being Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who actually went to the center of Mecca and started poking fun at all the heads of Mecca and started making dua against them. So may Allah destroy your faces. By the way, he was like, somebody I like to talk trash. No, he was about that life. And it was like, if anybody wishes their mother to mourn their death, I'm making hijrah. I'm going to Medina. You follow me. In other words, if somebody wants to, desires to push up daisies and have some flower bringing and slow singing, follow me over there. So he was the only one that made his hijrah like that. Everybody else snuck out. Some people were captured and detained. So if you can relate it to our own time period, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have done something either. Because laws are not necessarily moral. People create laws, and they change laws to suit their fancy. So at that time, the law, or the order of the day, was to not let the Muslims migrate. So they didn't really have anything. So when they reached Medina, the Prophet ﷺ, he created a legal bond of brotherhood. He paired Sahaba up. He paired, for example, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, who's Muhajir, he's an immigrant, with Sa'd ibn Rabi'ah, who's from amongst the Ansar. The purpose of it is so that those who had can share and take responsibility with those who didn't have. And this went on for a long time. And it was a legal brotherhood. In other words, if one of the Sahaba died while that brotherhood was established, then that Sahaba would literally inherit in the same way if that was his blood brother. So it was an Islamically, legally binding brotherhood, ukhuwah. Then after a while, this was abolished when the Muhajirun got on their feet. So the narrator of this hadith that we're looking at, he mentions in the beginning that the Prophet ﷺ established a brotherhood between Salman al-Farsi and Abu Darda. Now Salman al-Farsi wasn't from Mecca, he was from Persia. And in fact, he came into Medina as a non-Muslim slave. He was captured and wrongfully enslaved. And his story is a beautiful story. You need to look it up. He started out as a Persian, and then he became a Christian, and he was like the top student of many monks until they eventually told them of the coming of the final prophet, which, led him, long story short, to Medina. So even though he's not from Mecca, he's still being treated like Muhajir. So he was paired with Abu Darda. And so that's the backstory. So they have a relationship. So Salman visits Abu Darda. And when he comes to the house, Darda, the wife of Abu Darda, answers the door. And she's wearing shabby clothing. She's not dressed properly. Salman says, "What's wrong? Why are you dressed like this?" She responds, "Your brother, Abu Darda, he has no need of this dunya. He has no need of this world." In other words, your brother, he's zahid. You know, he's not really concerned with accumulating wealth in this life. And so, this is why you see me in this situation. While this conversation is taking place, Abu Darda comes. And so when Abu Darda comes, he prepares a meal for Salman. And then he tells him to eat. I'm not going to eat because I'm fasting. Brothers, we need you to move up and form ranks, inshallah. We're running out of space, inshallah. Remember, the Jumu'ah is like Salat. We're supposed to be in ranks straight, inshallah. Abu Darda tells Salman to eat. No, I made this food for you. You're my guest. Eat. I'm not eating because I'm fasting. Salman, you have to look at the situation like Salman is the sheikh here. You have to understand. See, a lot of us probably think, and this is not a good way to think, that because the Prophet ﷺ is amongst them, a lot of us probably think that the Sahaba is not taking knowledge from anybody else except the Prophet ﷺ. A lot of us think that the only ones that are held in high esteem is the Prophet ﷺ and nobody else, and this is not the case. And I can give many examples to prove that. But in any case, Salman says, "I'm not going to eat until you eat." Salman is the sheikh here. He already peeped the situation. Wife looking not so good. You coming in, you know, you fasting. All of these things are good. But he noticed a bent to the extreme. He's going to the extreme a little bit one way. So not only pay attention to what's being said and what's being done, but pay attention to how it's being done. The wisdom that he's using. I'm not going to eat till you eat, because he knows that he knows the sunnah. He knows he has to go out of his way to make his guest happy. Alhamdulillah for the food, but I'm not going to eat until you eat. So Abu Darda ate. Then it was time to go to sleep. They lay down to go to sleep. And Abu Darda stood up to get ready to perform tahajjud, the night prayer. Salman said, "Naam." In other words, sleep, lay down. And the hadith says, "Fanama." So he went back to sleep. And then when the middle of the night came, Abu Darda woke up to pray the night prayer again. And Salman said, "Naam, go to sleep." Fanama. So he went back to sleep. And then when the last third of the night came, Abu Darda stood up to pray, and Salman said, "Pray." And they both got up and they prayed together. And then Salman told him, "Inna li rabbika alayka haqqa," that verily your Lord has a right over you. Wa li nafsika alayka haqqa, and yourself, meaning your body, your soul, your spirit, etc., has a right over you. Wa li ahlika alayka haqqa, and your family has a right over you. Look how he's teaching him. Fa'ata, so give the rights كل ذي حقه حقه. Forgive everybody their rights. In other words, all of these entities have rights over you. Allah has a right over you. You have a right over yourself. Your soul has a right over you. And your family has a right over you. And you have to give each and every one of them their rights. Later on, Abu Darda mentioned this to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam simply said, Sadaqa Salman. He said, Salman has spoken the truth. He didn't add or take away from it. He said, Salman has spoken correctly. Look at the situation. He didn't say, Astaghfirullah, sister, you look toe up, man. Your husband don't shop. You need a man to treat you right. He ain't say none of that. When Salman came, or when Abu Darda came home, he didn't say, Aki, Billah, what's wrong with you? Why you got your wife looking like this? He didn't say, oh, you think you are holier than thou? You can be fasting all day, feed me, wife looking toe up and pray all night. You think you all that? He didn't come at him like that. He recognized that, number one, and if again, that's why I said you can't really appreciate this narration, especially if you don't know Salman's history. Because Salman was schooled and reared by monks. If it's anybody who knows how to be ascetic and knows how to do without the world, Salman knows how to do it. And so we have to take a lesson from that. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa afdalu salatu wa atamu taslim ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een wa radiyallahu ta'ala an sadat al-tabi'een wa ulama al-amalin wa a'immat al-arabat al-mujtahideen wa muqalidihim ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah. The beautiful thing about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his Sahaba is that even these intimate situations that took place have been recorded and documented for us to benefit from. And really, the motivation for today's khutbah really is from one line of that statement of advice that Salman gave to his brother Abu Darda when he said, Wali nafsika alayka haqqa. And yourself has a right over you. Included in that is our bodies, our physical bodies. Our bodies have a right over us. And we'll be questioned about how we treated our bodies. And the thing that made me say, okay, I'm going to talk about this, is because a few years ago, a good friend of ours, we were the same age. She was maybe a year, we the same age, me a year older, a year younger than me, something like that. About 5-6 years ago, we buried the brother. And how did he die? A gunshot wound? No. Renal cancer, kidneys failing. Organs start shutting down. I visited him in the hospital maybe a week or two before he passed, and I wasn't prepared for what I saw. I walked in and I was like, whoa. I didn't say whoa, but inside I was like, whoa, and I immediately felt sad, and I had to fight back tears. And I'm pretty sure he picked up on it, so he started making jokes like he normally was, we started kicking it. But I was not prepared for what I saw. And this brother, I said this is about 5-6 years ago, this brother didn't reach the age of 40 years old yet. I heard another friend of mine, same thing, but alhamdulillah, Allah's preserving him. He hasn't passed yet. And I've seen this over and over and over again. When I was young coming up, I never heard of anybody, 30 years old on dialysis. I never heard of nothing like that. And then just yesterday, a janazah was held for another friend of mine who passed. Same thing, kidney failed. And I don't remember his exact age, but he's significantly younger than me. I doubt if he reached 40 yet. And I think part of the problem is because we do not recognize who our enemies are. I'm going to mention something disconnected, but I'm going to connect it, inshallah ta'ala. I was just watching a video on YouTube today, and a black woman, called the police on a white man who assaulted her 7-year-old son. Apparently, the child threw a piece of paper, and the man grabbed him up, and so she called the police. By the end of the situation, she's getting beat up by police and getting arrested. And in my mind, I'm not bashing the victim here, but I'm like, where has your head been at for the last couple of years? How many people have been killed by the police when they themselves called the police, or somebody that's having a mental breakdown or something like that? And the people recording the video is like surprised that it's happening. And the woman that's making the video is screaming that it's live, it's live. I'm like, have you forgotten how many people got killed and the people got off and beat the charges with it on videotape? You think that you saying that it's live, it's on camera, is going to stop anything? Wake up, where have you been? I think we kind of, every time this situation happens, we think that we're surprised by it because in our subconscious, we believe the propaganda. We believe that these people are here to help protect us. And it's a sad situation because even though I'm saying this, 9 times out of 10, if something happens, if I get in a car accident, who I got called? Even if there's no criminal activity involved. We say, well, not all of them are bad. You're right. But the good ones don't seem to be preventing the bad ones. Why did I mention that? What does that have to do with your body having the right over you? Because we don't seem to be able to identify our enemy properly. Shaitan, our open enemy, Adu Mubin, Allah mentions him in the Quran, all over the Quran. Allah says that he has hizb. He has a party, Hizbul Shaitan. He's not working alone. He's not a lone wolf. The shaitan, he's not working by himself. He has a team. He has a crew. He has a gang. They're working together. And it's not only jinn, it's ins, it's human beings as well. And some human beings do the devil's work. They're working along with him. And shaitan's people have a way of weaponizing everything. People that are skilled at warfare will weaponize anything. They will make a weapon out of time. They will turn time into a weapon against you. I'll give you one example that most of you may be familiar with. When the Italians were in the process of colonizing Libya, you had a rebel, a mujahid, Sheikh Umar Mukhtar, who was whooping him, who was tearing him up. At that time, it was basically gun to gun. They had the better guns, of course, but the Muslims had guns too. And the Muslims were killing some of their top generals. So they brought in this notorious general. So he said, we have to turn time into a weapon. So he sent negotiators, top negotiators, to negotiate with the Muslims a peace deal. His intention was not to make peace, but he told his negotiators, make sure, negotiate like we really want peace. And drive a hard bargain too. Pretend like we really want this thing. Meanwhile, while they in a tent in the desert somewhere negotiating a peace that they don't even want, he's shipping tanks over from Italy to Libya, which at that time was unheard of, tanks in the desert. In that situation, that example, you can see how they brought time. They turned time into a weapon and used it. And by the time they was up on what was going on, the tanks was already there. More troopers already there. Now you're not dealing with guns, you're dealing with tanks and all kind of stuff. So you see how Shaitan's enemy turned time into a weapon that was just as dangerous as the guns and the tanks that they were going to use later. Because they couldn't get the tanks off of the dock without stalling for that time. So Shaitan knows how to turn everything into a weapon. He turned time into a weapon, an inanimate object into a weapon against you. That's going to hurt you. Shaitan has turned food into a weapon. Genetically modified this, and you don't even know what's what. Half of the food we eat, we can't even pronounce. And I'm looking at these brothers that died. For years, we ate at the same restaurants, the same places, and these brothers was eating halal. They wasn't eating halal food, they was eating halal. And it's not necessarily the end product you got to worry about. It's all the ingredients. It's not necessarily the store where you eat the food, where you buy the food at. Because they're messing with things on a genetic level. I remember almost 20 years ago, I remember listening to a radio program, and they were talking about the genetic modification they was doing with tomatoes. Because tomatoes have a lot of water in it. And so, you know, they only care about money. So they was modifying these tomatoes so that you get more quote unquote meat out of it, more of the red stuff out of it, so they can make more ketchup and other stuff like that. And people don't think that these things have an effect on your body. There's sugar and various variants of sugar in everything. And then when you live here, it's hard to avoid it. And most of these things are addictive. So even though I'm standing in front of you talking against it, a few hours later after the Juba Kippur, 9 times out of 10, something I eat is going to fall in this category. And it's going to hurt my body. But people that can afford to avoid that think those things that they avoid it. And the amazing thing about it is, even in countries that are rich, they have wealth under the soil. They can grow their own fruits and vegetables. They can raise their own animals. A lot of them, they don't want that stuff. They want the fake stuff. They want the stuff that's important, the stuff that we're talking about, that's been weaponized and used to kill us. In fact, some of these countries that take loans out from the World Bank and other entities, part of the condition for staying in good graces with that loan is that they import different foods and not grow their own. You think that's by accident? Why would a country that's taking out a loan and has the ability to produce its own food be forced to import food from other countries that's been genetically modified when they can grow that food themselves? Because food is being used as a weapon against those people. And like I said, the brother's death, it kind of hit me because he's younger than me. That could be me, that could be anybody in this room right now. A lot of us think we have, well, inshallah, 10 years from now, how you know you're going to be here 10 years from now? All of the 3 brothers that I just mentioned, at the time that they got sick, all of them were under 40. All of them were under 40. And all of these brothers have been Muslim for a long time. One of them come from a Muslim family. The other two that I could think of been Muslim since they were like 18 or whatever. They've been stopped using drugs and all that kind of stuff. Abusing their body. But still, the bodies, the kidneys, work so hard, been abused so long that it shuts down. And some man said it. And the Prophet ﷺ put the stamp of approval on it. Yourselves, your body, your soul, yourself has a right over you. You have to treat yourself right. Because your body does not belong to you. Your body belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And your body was created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you harm your body, you weaken yourself and prevent yourself from worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you don't have the right to do that. As long as you're here, you have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we have only created jinn and men to worship. That's why we're here. If you're not able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have no purpose living anymore. So we have to make use of our bodies and treat them right while we have them. We have to take a lesson from this, because the Prophet ﷺ said, do much remembrance of the destroyer of pleasures. And what he meant by that was death. So we have to think about this. None of us are guaranteed anything. No, none of us have, a guarantee from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're going to live for X amount of time. None of us have this guarantee. So do whatever you have to do to treat your body right. Even if you can't change everything right away, change something. Don't let today go by without taking something harmful out of your diet. Your body has a right over you. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Imam Naeem Abdullah of Masjid Al Mu'min and Nur Zaman Institute is available for speaking engagements. You can contact Imam Naeem Abdullah at the following: via telephone at 267-388-0823, or write him at 537 Paulson Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15206, or via email at imamnaeem@nurzamaninstitute.org.
Bismillah.